Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint a sewing still life. We're going to have some thimbles and sewing spools with some thread. Got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's man in chat for our live show today. So while I'm painting, you can ask questions and I'll try to answer them. Let's get started. Alrighty, so I have prepared my canvas. I've got a Fredrix canvas today. It's their Pro Series Belgian linen canvas board. Love these. They're a 9 by 12 inch size. Really, you could use any size you want to. But this is kind of my favorite size for camera work because it's just the right size, seems like. And I've transferred on the design. I coated the background with 50-50 burnt umber and carbon black. You can do any kind of dark brownish color. You could even do black if you wanted to. Really, I just thought that the brownish tones would be helpful with the wood that we're going to be putting on here. And then I've transferred on my design. We're going to kind of do the wood tones around it a little bit. Not going to go over the drawing so much today like I normally do, but I do have the traceable available on Patreon if you're interested in that. All right, so the brushes you're going to want is, you're going to want like some sort of a stiff bristled, large flat brush for the wood grain in the background. I've got my Aspen Bright number 12. It's a little bit over an inch, I think. For most of that, I'll probably be using that brush. And then for some of the detail work on the spools, we're going to want some sort of an angle or flat brush to fill in those areas. So I've got a 3/8 inch, 1/4 inch, and a angles, and then this one is a bright, 1/4 inch bright. So the brushes are all Princeton brushes. They're our brush sponsor. Love them. Velvet Touch, the red handles, and Umbria are the blue handles, or that's not blue, the brown handles. Sorry, I'm a little flummoxed because I was out eating my lunch in the back porch at 1:30. I usually get into the studio at like 1 to start prepping, and I'm just out there enjoying my lunch and going, "Where's Mark?" And like, so if I sound a little flustered, it's because I'm like,
Mark's in the studio getting ready.
Exactly where he should be. I'm making myself a quesadilla and just enjoying the sunshine outside. Oh, all right. It's a bad look at the summertime fever, I guess. 1/4 inch blender, 3/8 inch blender. And then for some of for the thread, you can do it kind of 3 different ways. I think that you can probably get by with a fan brush to do that if you want to do it real simply. If you have a Filbert grainier or one of these kind of rake brushes, that'll probably do a little bit better job, I'm thinking. But if worst case scenario, you can always use a liner brush and just do them individually by hand. And I'll probably do a little bit of all 3 and see which one looks best for us. And this one, I think we'll use these blenders on the wood grain on the actual spools because they've got a little bit of a texture and wood grain there. And then I've got a number 4 and a number 1 round for some of the dots and smaller details. I'm not really sure if we'll need all these brushes, but I just grabbed kind of what I thought we might need. I haven't painted this ahead of time, so you guys will see this live in real time, me trying to figure it out. Hopefully it'll go well. We'll see. Could go either way, 50-50. I've been painting for about 30 years, so I've got that to my advantage. A little bit of experience. Hopefully I can get myself out of it if I...
Did you just go over the colors?
Mess things up? Nope, not yet.
Okay, good, because I don't have them showing.
No, yeah, I'm going right now, though. Okay. Carbon black, burnt umber, burnt sienna, yellow oxide. This one is quinacridone, yellow... no, I always say that wrong. Quinacridone nickel azo gold. So if you don't have this one, yellow, Indian yellow hue is similar. It's just that gold that's in our yellow spool here. This one is cadmium yellow medium, and I went with phthalo green blue shade instead of the yellow shade today. But if you have the yellow, you can just add a little bit of blue to it. It'll be fine. It'll be similar to this one. This one's just got a little bit of more of a blue leaning already. This is Ultramarine Blue, Dioxazine Purple, and Quinacridone Magenta, Unbleached Titanium, Titanium White, and Zinc White. Zinc White's going to be our transparent white that we'll be using kind of in our silver. Here, it'll just be an easier way of doing it, but if you don't have it, you can use the titanium white and have some sort of a glazing fluid. I use the golden glazing liquid. This one is satin. You can get it in, or I'm sorry, gloss, and this, you can also get it in a satin finish. Either one is fine. I like the golden one because it's got a slow drying extender, so most glazing mediums do not. Okay. I had a little like paint thing right on my screen right here. So I was like, is that on my, I keep looking here and I'm like, okay, I got to wipe my monitor off there. That's my poor monitor. It gets splattered with paint all the time. The poor thing. So, okay. I think we're ready to go. Let's do this. So, like I said, if you're just joining us, the background is burnt umber and a little bit more burnt umber and carbon black, probably 2 to 1, almost 50-50 carbon black to burnt umber, more burnt umber than carbon black. And I'm going to get my large, flat, stiff bristled brush and pick up some of the burnt umber here and some ultramarine blue. Oh, it's going to be, it sounds like a weird combination, but they make the most beautiful gray. Works really well. And if you go a little bit more blue, it'll be a cooler gray, more blue leaning. And then if you go more with more of the burnt umber, it'll be more of a brownish gray. So we're going on the brown side this time. So we're going to add a little bit more of the brown than the blue. And I'm mixing up a bit of it because I want to use it for the entire background here. All right, that's about right. So normally, like I would go 50-50 on those two colors if I wanted it just evenly gray, but there we go. That's a really nice, see how pretty that is. And you can see how I've kind of brushed through it, but I haven't fully blended this color in. So I mixed up those two colors really well, the burnt umber and ultramarine blue, to make my gray tone, kind of brownish gray tone. And then I added, grabbed just a little bit of the unbleached titanium and kind of pulled it off to the one side and just brushed through it 4 times, maybe, not a lot. Because you want this kind of streaks to happen on your palette. If you blend it, then you're just going to have a solid gray, and we don't want that. We want these kind of streaky colors. So, all right, I'm explaining this way too.
So somebody wants to know, is carbon black supposed to be shiny?
Yes, it's glossy. Yes. If you want more of a matte black, Mars black is more matte.
So why don't they just
Here's
name it
my
matte black?
carbon black and matte black. I don't know if you can see that. You can see it in the right light right there. You can see how that carbon black, if I turn it just right, it catches the light, and the matte black is, the Mars black is more matte black. But it's got a little bit more of a almost like a purple or blue tone to it. If you see, this one is kind of more of a true gray, and the Mars black has maybe more of a little bit of blue leaning. The ivory black is kind of more brownish. Same with bone black. So any of those will work.
So is that short for Matthew?
Sorry, what?
Is that short for Matthew?
What short for Matthew?
Matte black.
Matthew Black, aka
Chat Noir.
Nobody knows what we're talking about. Like, what the heck?
Oh, some people know.
Some people know. Okay. I need more water. So that is just, since it's not moving at all, it tells me I need more water. I need to be careful when I'm doing this, though, adding water here, because I don't want to mix my colors too much. I do want it to skip, but I want it to kind of streak too. So there we go. I need to flow off the brush. I am barely touching this because I want these streaks to happen in my thing, and I don't worry about my spools. I'm just going to go right over them. This color is not going to cover that transfer. I did. And if I want kind of a line, I'm going to use the edge of it. This brush is not working very well. Oh, I know why. My fan's on. It's like, why is it dry? It's so dry. Stop.
I'll get it. I'll get it.
I think that paper's in the way. Okay, there we go. So we want these kind of streaks happening. You just did that so you could have an excuse to come over here. Hey, let me help you with that.
I didn't have my pre-show kiss.
That's true.
You were all rushy.
I hate it when I get like that too. I always get very tongue-tied at the very beginning of the video when I'm all kind of flustered. That's why I have to get here about an hour beforehand. I get here, I gotta calm down, start thinking about what I'm gonna say, and take my time, get my paints ready, get my camera angles all set up, and just de-stress before get rid of the day's whatever I've been doing and kind of get into work mode. But it's like when I don't give myself that full hour, I just kind of get all mixed. It's weird. I used to get worse than I am now, at least with Mark. I'm more calm, I think. He can tell you, because it used to take me about 10 minutes to even start the videos sometimes.
So what
sit there and staring off into dead space.
What she's saying is that I'm a service animal.
he's my servant. It's close to the truth, actually.
I have a special vest.
You wear only in the shows.
Exactly.
I love it. All right, so just kind of running through here and trying to get into all of these little cracks and crevices here, trying to make sure that I'm keeping these kind of parallel. The ones in the back kind of do swoop down a little bit, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. You can see how I went back over with some of the darker color in the areas where I got a little too solid with my wood grain, so that's an easy kind of trick to do. I'm going to go back in with just the edge of my brush and kind of do some lines in there and then wipe it off. While that's wet, I'm just going to kind of pull those edges out just a little bit and blend them in just slightly. Yeah, I think summer has finally decided to arrive in Arkansas here. We've had way too nice weather for too long. It's going to make up for it. We'll probably have a brutal summer. It'll probably just be 100 degrees and 99% humidity for the rest of the summer because we had such a nice spring. Mark and I've gotten spoiled. We've been sitting outside working throughout this quarantine, so.
Yep, the weather's been nice and dry for sure, but humidity has increased dramatically.
Yeah. The last couple of days. Okay, so just going back and forth with these different tones here. I'm going to get a little bit more of this lighter color, put it on my brush here. Got a phone call. Okay, there we go. You may not have to do it this many times to get this color to come off. Mine just got a little bit dry on me. I'm going to go ahead and reload and start over. So I'm just going to reload with this darker color, which I'm kind of making a little bit lighter. And I'm just going to get a little bit of the lighter color, maybe on the corner of the brush. So I have it just part of the brush. Who was that? Oh. Is he okay?
Yeah, he wanted to know where he could get a a key made.
Ah, nice. He's
Or
got
actually
his
cut.
Yeah. We got him. I got all my boys. I think it's called Heroes Armory. They're not a sponsor, so you're welcome, Heroes Armory. But they make keys that are like video game themed or movie themed. So they have Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, and got Spencer a Halo one because it's his favorite video game, or older,
Oh.
And Nathan got Legends of Zelda. It's pretty sweet. They look like a little mini sword. You get your house key put on them. Anyhow, it's a guy gift, They have. I didn't get one for Mark.
No, you
He got
didn't.
left out of the fun.
There's no World of Tanks one.
He didn't want one. Yeah, exactly. He's not that big. Lightsaber. You could have had a lightsaber key though. You do like Star Wars, but not as much as the boys do. All right, I'm getting a little bit of black. That was the background color. I'm just going to use it with the burnt umber here. Put it back in. You can see these areas where I just got a little too much solid. I'm just going to go back in and do the same thing I've just been doing. Just kind of use the edge of the brush this time and kind of brush back through there, and kind of underneath and beside these spools there's some dark, so I don't have to worry about those areas as much. I can leave those kind of dark right in there, but I'm going to add dark back to them even. Getting a little bit more of the unbleached titanium and making kind of a lighter gray, lighter than up in here. This area is a little bit darker than down here, and about I guess about just below the quarter mark. Let me see. So here's a halfway, and here's the three. I didn't mean quarter, I meant 3/4. So here's our 3/4 marks on here. If we split our canvas into 3 parts sideways here, so our back line is just between the halfway mark and the 3/4 mark. So somewhere in here is going to be our shadow, and I'm going to do it above because I want the light color below, and I have the light color on my brush. So I'm just going to kind of do a little bit, if I can get it in there, get a little bit of that light color right there, and right there. And I guess you're seeing a little bit of it right here too. I guess I need to do it right there. Okay, there we go. So you can see how we've just kind of made a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more of the light color just below so that it registers.
So for
that brush.
For those of you who are new here, math has a different meaning for sure. You may learn things here that you didn't learn in school.
Shut up. Shush, shush.
Like the 3/4 marks when you divide it by 3. I'm not sure how that worked, but...
Did I say that?
Yes, it's art and math.
That's my right brain talking right there. That's my right side of the brain saying what it wants to say.
So hopefully nobody's studying for their SATs using our videos.
I'm so confused. She's showing the thirds, but she's saying the 3/4. So I don't know if that's what she meant or if I've had it wrong all these years.
Oh, the great thing is that half your audience just didn't blink.
They were like they knew exactly what I was talking about.
Yep, we know exactly what you're talking about.
I love it. Sorry, I'm at third. Split into 3/4 equal parts because I'm showing 3 parts.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. I love it. I can't blame that on being flustered. That's pretty normal art brain behavior there.
You were watching something last night, and did the person say that they leave like 10% of their brain
for answering questions when they're painting? Yeah, it was a teacher. guy. He said, well, he does plein air, and so he's out, and people are actually interrupting him while he's painting. And he's like, I'd leave about 10% of my concentration and brain to answer questions while I'm painting and try to keep the rest focused on what I'm doing. I probably have less than that focused on what I'm doing, honestly. I probably,
Well, you've got
because I'm talking so much, you know.
You've got a good portion painting and a good portion teaching.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of room left.
No, there's not for thinking. Is that what you're saying?
I didn't know what.
Not a lot of room left in your brain for rational thought. Okay, I see. It's very accurate, honestly, so I can't say. Been teaching long enough to realize that that's entirely true. I'll watch back videos sometimes and I'll say the entire wrong word sometimes too, and it's just, yeah. Okay, so I am going now putting this over the top of my light color, and I'm going to use this glaze. I've made a glaze using my glazing medium and black. If you don't have glazing medium, you can use water. Just don't use too much water with heavy body acrylics because they can underbind. And I'm just going to use it right along that line there. You want to be able to see your grain of the wood through, so you're not covering anything, you're just adding a shadow. See how that did? And if you get too much of it on there, you can use your paper towel. Like I can grab a wet paper towel and just kind of dab over it or wipe some of it off, blend it in. While it's wet, you can do a lot of things. Just make sure that your background is dry before you try to do this. Otherwise, you'll just lift off your background that you've already just taken all that time to do. Okay, so this back here, and I'm not going to do this side. I brought my white up a little too high on this side. This will just help reinforce that ledge there. See, now we've got the light hitting the surface that is facing upward more. The dark wall is more in shadow. And I'm just going to put some of these dark lines through here, and I'm going to use a little bit of it on the side next to my spools here, leaving some of the, leaving some of the, what was I going to say? Oh, grain showing through. You don't want to cover all the grain. So don't do so dark that it's like you can't see the wood grain underneath. So I'm just going into all these areas where I know there's kind of a shadow and just putting some of this dark glaze here. And there's a little bit on this side too. So I think our light must be coming from kind of above in this way because it's kind of hitting the shadow back here as well as up in front. And there is a little bit of wood grain here. I'm just going to put a tiny bit of that color right in there. Okay, and then what I can do is go back in here. I'm going to grab even some white this time. Be sure you're spraying your paints every now and then, especially we've got our dehumidifier on in the house and it's drying my paint out terribly. So we need to not do it on the day I'm painting from now on. It's drying them out almost immediately as I touch it on the canvas. And down here, they're drying out fast. So just spray them thin.
We got a question.
Okay. You're not listening to me. Did you hear what I was saying?
Something about a dehumidifier.
Let's not do it on the day of the shows.
Oh, okay.
Because it's making it hard. It's drying my paint too quickly.
Well, the air conditioner does the same thing. So.
Well, I know, but them both in combined together is making it worse. What were you saying?
I basically lost the question. Oh, what's the difference between glazing medium and slow dry?
Well, it depends on the glazing medium that you're using. Most brands of glazing medium don't have a slow drying in them, so they're just for making your paint transparent. Golden's has kind of a slow dry and glaze kind of combo, so they're I like it for that reason. Because most glazes are dry way too fast. Like I wouldn't use a regular glaze to try to glaze with. It's just, especially with acrylics, I don't find them very effective. They just dry almost as soon as you set it down. You don't have any time to kind of blend it back and forth like I do with the ones that I do with the golden glaze. So, but slow dry, is just kind of what it's saying. The thing with this glaze that I like though too, and that you might not find with most slow dry extenders, is that the slow dry extenders a lot of times will make your paints a little oily, and you can only add a certain percentage of them to your paint. This, you can add as much of this as you want. This is basically what the base of the paint pigment. So it's basically kind of it's the acrylic polymer that your acrylics are made out of. So it's just like a clear paint, basically. It's a clear acrylic with an extender in it. When your slow dry extenders, usually slow dry mediums and extenders are usually not. They're usually some sort of other chemical. They're not going to be like an acrylic medium base. So you have to be careful how much of that you use, because you'll really mess up your acrylic texture. It'll underbind just like it would with water. So, okay, just cleaning off my hands here. I don't know how I got them so dirty. There's paint everywhere. On knuckles. I didn't even notice myself doing that. That's a funny thing. Is like when I get done painting these paintings, I'll have my hands just covered with paint. I'm like, I never know when that happens. I never feel it like when it happens. I'm always just like so into it. I guess that's how it should be though, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So there we go. There's our background. I think that'll be good enough. I mean, if you want to go one step further, you could get a liner brush out and do some a little bit more wood grains, or like I might, now that I'm seeing this, maybe get a little bit of this black on my liner brush here and just put in some thinner kind of dark areas in some of these sections where the paint got a little thick. I don't think that, yeah, this is helping, because it kind of got a little solid in some places. So this like a little bit of darker lines through will help that wood effect. You can see this one versus this one. So what you looking for?
Down on your canvas. Didn't know if it was water.
Don't know. I don't see it. Okay, so just kind of running this through and adding some lines in our wood by hand. Can help up here too. And the reason I'm using this super long liner brush is just because it holds more paint, so I can do longer lines with it. That's all. It's the only difference between this and like a shorter liner brush. You can do the same stuff. It's just this one, I don't have to reload it as often. I can do longer lines with it, but these can be harder to control. So I wouldn't graduate to the longer script liners maybe until you're comfortable with the shorter ones, because those are way more easy to control. Way easier to control. All right, there we go. Clean that out. Let's start filling in our spools. So I think I'm going to use, actually, maybe I'll try this. I'm going to use a little bit of yellow oxide, my burnt sienna, and maybe a little bit of the burnt sienna, and I said burnt sienna, burnt umber. I meant burnt umber, yellow oxide, a little bit burnt sienna. Burnt sienna just gives it a little bit of a reddish tint. Yellow, obviously, kind of yellowed, so it gives it kind of a warm honey brown color. And I think I'm going to use that on the inside here where I'm seeing a little bit of light hitting this wood. And just pull it straight down and leave some of that dark showing. I'm going to do a little bit right here. These are a little bit different tones, so I'm going to get a little bit of this unbleached titanium. Use it on this one, and the wood grain's going this way in these. Right in there, right there. I'm going to go ahead and use this lighter tone up here too. A little bit in here. And then I'm going to grab my white and mix that in. I'm going to use it right in here. Kind of a rough, these are rough old wood spools, so they're not like perfectly, manufactured. They've got these kind of little rough areas around the holes where they're cut. Right here. And I'm going to darken that back up, but I need that kind of lighter color right there. And so our grain is going to be going along this line. So you see this line here. So the spool grain is going to be following that. So I just want to keep all these angles at that same angle as I go down this spool, because the tendency is to want to turn it as you come around the corner, but these are laying on its side. It's kind of then as it goes around that corner, you keep that same angle.
Got a question.
Okay.
Person would like to know, what is a good mixed media pad that doesn't warp?
They're all going to warp a little bit. What happens with paper in general, even good paper, is that the water expands the fibers in the paper. And if part of the paper is dry and part of it's wet, the wet part is trying to expand and it has no place to go. And so it just starts warping the paper. And it doesn't matter how good of a paper that you have, it's going to do that a little bit. So that's pretty normal. What you can do is like spray the back of it with a little bit of water after you're done, and then like press it down really good. Or some people iron them. Be careful when you do that, but not too hot. But you're going to have a little bit of warping. And I like at least 140-pound paper, though. Anything less than that is not going to be good. So 140 pound is kind of the minimum, I would say. I can't remember how many. This one is one I like. Well, this one's 90 pounds, and it works fine for me. So maybe but 140 pound is watercolor paper. So mixed media paper, acrylics, you're not using as much water. So maybe that's why you can get away with it on here, but I wouldn't necessarily do watercolor on this kind of paper. This is cellulose. You want to do watercolor on like a 100% cotton. So, but I don't know what kind of paint you're using on it. So.
And then what brush did you just pick up?
This one's the number 2 bright. And I'm just going to use it in these smaller areas in here because I'm going around these corners kind of tight. That larger brush is just too big. Okay, and then that way I'm getting a little bit darker color here too. So I put the lighter color on. I'm going to go right along that edge there and
then
define that edge a little bit with this brush.
There was an earlier question regarding the wood grain,
okay,
and they wanted to know, would a fan brush help?
You could try a fan brush. Fan brush might be a little bit big, is all. Just this here, I'm just kind of dry brushing this, so I've got very little paint on my brush, and this brush is doing just fine. So I could have used this one instead. Here, and this edge is just slightly rounded too, so it can be a little fuzzy. It doesn't have to be perfectly smooth. But I just want to define these outer edges. I kind of left those so I could get this brush in here and do it like that. Okay, so there we go. Left a little bit of the dark showing, and I'm going to make sure my yellow line is covered. So I'm going back over here and just kind of going back over that line just a little bit, anywhere I'm still seeing it. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab some of the darker color, spray it, and keep it wet. Get some burnt umber, add that to this unbleached titanium. I still got a little bit of that yellow color on. Pick up a little bit of that yellow color too. And I'm going to do this side of it with that. And this time I'm going to be brushing it this way. So this side of it is kind of cut this way. So it's going around in a circle. It's actually showing kind of the side grain of it too. So there are some lines this way, but we're also seeing cut marks in it where it's been cut this way, cut off. So we're going to put both in, kind of do some streaks this way, and then we'll put some of the darker grain lines across it where those cut through. Okay, there we go. Leaving lots of that background color showing through too, so that gives us an extra layer of like detail and, depth. So I'm going to get some of that dark, some of the black here. Put some of that back in because I got a little bit solid in this area.
Do you have any tips on how to keep the curves symmetrical and accurate?
Yeah, you want to look at your overall shape and follow those curves. So just like we did with these lines, following this line here, you establish that line and then you just continue it. You want to look at your outer shapes here.
Is there any like brush holding tips or anything like that?
I hold it a little bit far back, and when I get around these corners, I twist it a little bit. You can use, it might be easier though to use a round brush for this part. You might be able to control the round part of it a little bit better, like do it because you don't have to worry about turning the brush, so you can hold it in one position and not have to twist it at all. So probably should be using that because it would be easier for most people to use it this way. But I again like these flat brushes because or angle brush or one of those because it holds more paint. So it's just, and I can get a good bladed edge with it by using it on its edge. So I'm just turning it as I go around the edge here. Just kind of as I come around the edge, I'm using my thumb and pulling it towards myself. So I'm keeping that flat edge facing me. I did it lighter there so you can see what I'm talking about. It takes some practice to get get proficient at, doing that. But if you don't keep it edge, that right there is what happens. If I was not to turn it, it would do a big flat edge there. So if I want to keep those lines thin, I have to turn the brush, and just using my thumb there to kind of control that turn and keep the edge thin. I've made this way too light, but
so you're spinning the brush
yes,
in your hand as you come around the corners.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I'm gonna kind of blend this in though, because it's not this obvious. So I kind of made this a little bit lighter than it needs to be. So I'll probably have to glaze back over this, but just did that so you guys could see what I was doing there. And this side here is a little bit lighter as it's coming up to this edge, and then it's a little bit darker on this back end here. So it's actually not bad. Honestly, it's probably, I'll probably just glaze a little bit of the burnt umber here. Be all right. And I need this darker color under here anyway, so I'm just kind of doing a sort of semi glaze here. I didn't add any glazing medium, just doing a thin layer of the ultramarine or burnt umber there. Darken up that bottom edge just a little bit and get that lighter color there. It kind of starts right about here though, so just blend that out. And then I'm going to use the lighter color right here. So right on the inside of where that dark is, that's what's going to really make that hole push back. Put that highlight right here. See how that opened up that hole right there in the dark area. And then I'm going to get the black, my glaze, and I am going to use my round brush for this. Fairly dark, and I want to glaze back this area. So if you got any of the light color in here, I want kind of a fairly even shadow right there. And just make sure that it's kind of dark up here, and it kind of does this little sliver, kind of pretty even. It maybe right in here it starts to widen out a little bit. I can bring a little bit of this light color up. I can see I kind of missed the light color sort of coming up and around a little bit right here where you can see inside. Okay. And I'm going to do the dark right here on the outside. So it kind of emphasizes that. Make sure I have a little bit of dark right here on the outside of that. Good. One down. Two to go. Almost. Well, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so just running the black here through, and I'm going to use my finger to kind of wipe it in. Still using this glaze here I used on the inside. You can see how wet it is, but I can go, like I said, just as kind of wet as I need to with the glazing medium, since I'm using this one that's meant to be used for that. And then there's all kinds of little pock marks. So I think what I'm going to do is grab my grab this glaze with my brush here, and I pounced it straight up and down, and I'm going to tap it to create little marks in my spool edge. And I'm just going to use my finger to tap it out. Just created some like little imperfections in the wood there. And then you can use if you want to get super fancy, then you can use the lighter color and find those little pock marks and just make a little highlight on the side that's sticking out. Again, kind of soften it up a little bit so it's not super dark. Make them. This side is getting the light, that the bottom part there, get that dark color in. All right, keep on going here. Now there's a little cut in this one, so we can put that in. Right in here, I'm just going to pick an area where it's already got some dark and just use that. Just put a little glaze in there to darken that up. Make a little crack in it. And then I didn't do, once this is all dry, we can do very faint little grain lines through. They're running this way through the spool, and very faint, like I've got mostly glazing medium here. You want them to run all the way through, so just kind of make sure they don't touch that part. And then you can make them kind of come off here too if you want, just a little bit into this wood. Okay, just using my finger kind of helps blend it in a little bit. So that's the only reason I'm doing that. And then there's certain areas where it's just dark and you're not really seeing them. So I don't want it to look like weird stripes all the way through. It's there, but it's very like subtle. So some places it's a little bit darker than others. It's very, very minimal. I'm gonna maybe go in between here and add some little highlights just to this front edge here. Okay, let's keep on going. I'm gonna just end up the whole time on this one. I'm having so much fun, like finding all these little pockets of color. Okay, stop doing that.
Now, what did we talk about?
I go down the little rabbit holes of detail. I know. Mark's like, you can't spend too much time on this today because you got a show tomorrow.
Exactly. You got your bonus video tomorrow. Rest up the pitching arm.
I will. Okay. Well, this one's, now they're all pretty detailed. Just keep on going here. Stop talking. I have no excuse for my behavior. I'm going to move my brushes that I have not dirtied over to the other side so I know which ones to wash when I'm done. I haven't used this one yet. Okay. Going back to this flat one here. To go ahead and get the unbleached titanium here. Again, that needs wet. So I just got that bottom of it all gummed up with white paint. I dumped it. I put it on my Zinc White here. Okay. Let's get some of this color here that we mixed with all the browns and yellows. Do it. Let's do it up here. I've lost this whole line up here. much moisture in my brush. So I put the color down pretty bright there, pretty thick, and now I'm just going to smush through it and pull it around. I didn't add any more. I wiped it all kind of off because I had enough here to kind of do this whole area. And this one is pretty bright on this front side. I've been watching a lot of watercolor and gouache videos preparing for my gouache debut, which is so dumb. I have literally done one gouache painting in my entire life. And I'm going to be doing it live on Tuesday.
And it was awesome.
So it will not be a gouache tutorial. It will be a gouache. What are we doing with this?
Using gouache.
Using gouache, trying it out, practicing with gouache. Will be a trial run of gouache. That's what we'll have to have a disclaimer on the video. Do not necessarily follow any of the techniques that you'll see in this video when it comes to gouache, because it may or may not work out. We're going to do the same painting in acrylics and in gouache, so I'm pretty confident about the acrylics one, but the gouache, we'll just have to see how it goes. Gouache, if you don't know, is like an opaque watercolor-ish. It's different, but it's basically, in essence, it's different size pigments though, so it's not necessarily just like watercolors with an opacifier added. It's a whole different, but it uses the same gum arabic or honey or whatever binders that watercolors use, depending on the brand. So it'll be fun. It'll be an adventure, that's for sure. I'm getting more and more nervous about it the closer we get to doing it. I'm like, what was I thinking? There, I probably should practice it a little bit.
Where is your painting?
The one that I did with gouache? Right here. It's right here.
See if people think it's okay.
It's okay. It's just different. Like it doesn't, you can't glaze with it. So that's one thing about gouache that is different. Like in here, when it reactivates. So like when I went to put my dark color in here, you can see where it's light right there. That's because it picked up it blends with the background colors. So when you try to put light washes over the top, it just lifts the color underneath and blends with it, which is really nice. It's actually pretty cool. But yeah, we'll get to that next week, but it'll be Tuesday night. We'll do Hummingbird in acrylics and in gouache. So if you've ever wondered, it's kind of starting to, I don't know, maybe it's been for a while. I've just started hearing about it more myself. Maybe it's just what YouTube's suggesting to me all of a sudden, but it seems like I'm hearing more and more about gouache lately. So probably late to the party, but I'm pretty sure I'm very late to the party, honestly. I literally have not done watercolors since college, so I'm not a watercolor artist in any shape or form. I have never taught it, so like I said, disclaimer, it's not, I'm learning, though. I just I don't know what got into me, but I think I call it quarantine fever. It's just like, I just kind of was like, I need to learn something new for my brain to not go to a dark place. So decided to buy some gouache and practice and play with it. So you guys get to come along on that journey with me, like it or not. Sorry.
I mean, they do have the ability to not watch.
That's true.
We don't recommend it.
No.
Because then they're not going to be cool. Yeah. So if they're okay with,
I don't know about that. If they're watching us, they already are. that ship has passed. That ship has sailed. If they're watching us, they are not part of the cool.
They don't want to be hip.
All right, so this was just that lighter. I grabbed some burnt sienna and yellow oxide to add the yellow tones to that, and now I'm going to grab some of this unbleached titanium, and I'm tapping my brush to open up the bristles a little bit so that I get kind of a little bit more texture. Instead of grabbing this brush, I'm just going to use this brush to do this next part, and I can get a similar texture by just tapping the edge of it and getting it to open those bristles up a little bit. I'm going to slightly skim it. Going to do what we did with that wood background and just run some texture through.
And we got a couple questions.
Okay. And it's mostly in this front area. So,
okay, what's the difference between a flat and a bright brush?
It's the length of the bristles. So the flat's shorter, or I'm sorry, the flat's longer, the bright is shorter.
Okay.
That's all that's different. Yeah.
And then the next question is that they say that they feel like their paint won't stick to the canvas.
Okay.
They can still see the canvas texture even with the paint on.
That must be the kind of paint they're using. It's got to be either that or they're using way too much water. What kind of paint are they using?
Let's see.
I'm curious.
I have no clue.
Okay. Well, if you want to tell me.
I could, well, I don't know.
I would say it's probably a cheaper student quality or, bargain acrylic, and those will do that. What? Oh, really? Okay. Well, then, I didn't see it on there. Okay. Well, I didn't have that issue with mine, so with that brand, so I would say probably adding a little too much water if it's not sticking to the canvas well. So, because those are already pretty fluid, so you won't, that brand, or the Arteza acrylics. And it also depends on the color you're using, because some colors are innately opaque or transparent. So if you're using a transparent color, it's not going to cover onto the canvas. You're going to have see-throughs. It doesn't matter what kind of paint you use. So just if you're using a transparent color, just know that going in. And you can tell on the bottle, on the tube. Let me grab one. I'll show you. Or you can see, this is not the acrylic, but it'll have the same thing. So this rose is translucent. It's got the little square through. If you've got a solid square right here, that means it's opaque. So this will cover your canvas better than this will. So if you've got that problem, I'm trying to see, what you can do is put either another color that's similar underneath the color that you want it to be, or you can add white to this color. White will always make your paint more opaque. So what you do is you just add white to this color and then paint this color over the top of the white, and it'll again, like the white mixture. So maybe it doesn't take very much white to make it more opaque. So, maybe 10-20% white to this color, paint it on, let it dry, and then paint this color solid on top. and it'll go on a lot better for you and it'll look more solid. You get more solid coverage. So that's what I would suspect you're doing, is using a transparent color in areas, if you're not giving coverage. But some brands will, will be less effective too. But that one, I did a painting using them last month, and the one that we're doing on Tuesday is going to be using Arteza also, and I didn't find any issues with them. So I would tell you if I did, but I didn't. So I'm pretty picky about my honestly. I have another paint company that has approached me, and I haven't gone with them because I didn't like their paints. So
there you go.
Yeah, I'm pretty
life's too short.
Well, yeah, life's too short for bad paints. No joke. Bad brushes.
That's a t-shirt.
Yeah. Bad art materials in general. Just saying, oh, I love that. I just looked at the thing. It looks really cool on the screen there. I get so focused on what I'm doing, I don't actually stop to look at it. Sometimes I just like looking at the details. Okay, so I'm going to go back through here and just do like I did before with this one and just kind of tap in some darker kind of scuff marks and things, little imperfections in it, in this lighter area especially. And then I'm going to get some of the white, do it right here. There's like a little bright part that's sticking up right there. Just make sure I've got some dark or some light coming down in here. And then I'm going to do just like I did over here. Get my black, and I probably could wait to the very end to do this, but I'm just kind of doing each one as I go instead of doing them all at the same time here, and go back in here with this black and just add the black right down in that little hole and tap it out. Make sure it's nice and dark right there. I like it. I like it. I'm going to use a little bit of this color and just kind of glaze along this top edge there. Just a little bit. Tiniest little bit right there. And get a little bit of the lighter color and add it right here. Okay. Get some white and add it. Just about kind of bumping up that contrast and gonna get that dark color. I kind of covered up that crack right here, so we can get that dark color. Put that back in right there.
So somebody said earlier that crack is a cut line.
That's right. You're right. This one must have busted out. This is probably the cut line on this one. It busted off. It probably chipped off. And yep, you're right. They do have that.
And you win absolutely nothing. Congratulations.
Stop. Mark Anderson.
Oh, sorry. We have no prizes.
If we did, you would win.
So take comfort in that.
Yes, thank you. No, it would have occurred to me maybe after the video that that's what that was. I'd have been like, oh, yeah, that's I have those on all my spools. Mm-hmm. I do actually sew. So I pulled out my sewing machine for the first time in long time. And then I was like, Mark, I need to buy a new sewing machine. He's like, no, you don't.
Yeah, we touched it for the first time in like 10, 15 years last year during the remodel.
It's not been that long.
Whatever. And then we take it out and it was used for maybe 3-4 hours.
It was used for about 2 weeks.
And
then it sat on the counter.
It's sat on the laundry table for a few weeks.
The laundry table being our dining table.
In our dining room. That we don't
I love how you call it the laundry table, as if we have a laundry table. Oh, no.
Well, the kids called it that.
It's true.
We have Thanksgiving dinner at the laundry table.
It's about the only time of year we eat at the laundry table. Oh, sad, but true. Okay.
With 3 boys and it being right outside the laundry room, it was a very convenient place to take the dry clothes out, and because it's very long. So
it's a long table.
You can fold
a lot of clothes.
And then sit there until the next load of laundry is ready to wash.
Yes, that's about right.
Which was usually my clothes sitting there because I didn't put them away.
Yes, it is Mark's clothes. Let's be real here.
It's true.
I do the laundry. I don't fold I do the laundry. I fold the laundry. I do not put away the laundry, and I do not iron it. Mm-hmm. You're on your own with those 2 things. So you want it to get to your room, you come and get it.
Or you wait until company comes and then
and then I tell everybody, get your laundry off the table. That's about it. That's how it goes in our house. Oh, they're lucky that I do it. That's all I'm saying. They have clean clothes.
But she doesn't want me to do the laundry because
he's not allowed to touch the laundry.
I don't know. There's evidently different temperatures and colors and stuff. Whatever. Soap, water.
He has ruined way too many of my clothings. And I think he's afraid of it a little bit now. He's gotten the wrath of Angela a few too many times. After ruining brand new clothes. That he was helping, but he's helping you.
Yes.
I'm so happy.
Okay, let's admit it. Girls are complicated. More complicated than needed.
It's so true. I like to think I'm low maintenance, but I don't think I am. The older I get, the more I realize I was probably my own, I like to think I'm like a low-key, low-maintenance girl, but I don't think that's true. Mark's like, no comment.
My mic's not working for some reason.
All right, just cleaning off all this so I don't get little bits of other paint in my fresh paint. I'm mixing up more of that brown. Nothing new here, just some more of that yellow, brown, burnt sienna, burnt umber, and yellow oxide here. Just gonna use it again on the next one. So we're just kind of going through here and getting all these up, getting the burnt or the unbleached titanium, spraying everything down, keeping it wet. Anytime you're mixing a new color, anytime you're flattening out your color like this, it's going to dry like 3 times faster than anything else. So you're going to have to really keep these mixtures wet while you're working. These puddles here, I strategically put them the way that I do. I try to dome it up as much as I can. Like when I put the paint out, I don't see how this one kind of flattened out like this. If you put your paint out, I just put it out. Let me do I'm almost out of this color. So I would not, when I put my paint out, I do not do like a small dollop and thin it out like that, because that is going to dry like way before you can use it. So I do it straight up and down and just kind of try to dollop it up like that. So it's got a little,
like an ice cream cleaner.
Like a Hershey Kiss almost. That will give you a little bit more drying time. And when I pull that paint off, I kind of smack that down. I leave as much of this undisturbed as I can while I'm working. And then that way the water is not actually keeping this paint necessarily from drying out altogether. What it's doing is just kind of keeping everything sort of moist. It'll kind of work its way up underneath here. And then it's keeping this wet edge moist is what we're doing. So this area here is where I'm pulling the paint from, and I'm not going to go straight into the middle. Anytime you do that, you're introducing air into your paint. I'm going to just go and grab this whole thing because it's almost dry. But this paint underneath that was set in here, there's nice fresh paint up underneath here. This backside might get a little thickened. It might. It sounds. I just realized what I was saying. Will harden.
You're
And
doing so well.
sorry. Oh my gosh.
It'll be thick and dirt.
Oh, never mind. Anyhow, it protects the paint underneath. So if you just keep one side wet, working it and keeping it moist there, it'll draw that moisture up in here and it'll protect the paint that's back here, and it'll make your give you more working time with your paints. And so, okay, that was a long explanation for very simple.
No, but it does
solution.
help a lot of people who are starting out, for sure. That people wonder how you keep your paint from drying out.
I get that comment all the time, so that's one of the things that I do. Yeah, that's why I'm mentioning it.
Dollop it like a Hershey Kiss, and then just pull from one side and let it form that skin on the other side to help protect it.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, I was watching a video. They were zhuzhing up brownies, and one person was making caramel. And they just pour the sugar in the pan and they put a little water. They're doing a wet caramel, I guess. Anyways, they said do not stir it, which is something that I would have done.
Right.
And so the same thing here. And you put the paint out, just don't mess with it.
Yeah, don't mess with that back part of it, because it will introduce air, and then that's what's drying your paint out. So you just let it kind of form that protective barrier there. You'll have much longer amount of time to work with it. All right, getting the white now. I grabbed a little bit more yellow for this because I noticed that it had a little bit more of a yellow, lighter tone.
Wet spot right there.
Thank you. Okay. It's okay because it's dry, so it's not going to pull anything off. Thank you though. Get that little bit there. So this area has got a lot of the light color, so I'm just going to go from there, and again, just kind of pick a direction. There's not as much kind of grain showing on this one, so a little bit flatter. There's a little bit, but very faint lines. Don't worry about the values right now. We can add those back in when we glaze it. So I'm just putting this all in light, and then we'll glaze back over the areas that I want to darken up later. It's just a little bit easier way of doing it. Okay, so we'll let that set and dry. And we'll do this one here. Pretty much same color. And just trying to kind of get it even. I don't mind having a little bit of that texture showing through there, so don't worry about that too much. I'm going to get a little bit of the burnt umber and just going to add that in right here. I'll be adding more of that color later, but I'm just going to kind of start there, and then I'm going to grab the burnt umber, a little bit of black, and then this area down here is dark. Right there. And there's actually, I'm going to go ahead and get some of this lighter color. There's actually a little bit of that wood grain, a little bit lighter right there. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that in a little bit lighter right there. Darken up that. Get that black and kind of pull it up a little. There. Okay. Okay, I'll be adding shadows here and here. It's just kind of bugging me right now because I want to go in and do it, but I'm just going to wait. Be a little bit more efficient about it. I'm going to get a little bit of this black with my glaze. I always want to be adding the glaze when I'm doing this so that I'm not. If I don't add the glaze, it can underbind, and then when I add my next layer of color, it will lift off the previous layer. Don't want that to happen. Okay. Just darkening up that little area right there next to the, it's kind of looks shiny right now, but it's got a little bit of a shadow right there. Okay. Righty. I'm going to go ahead and kind of darken up this while I've got this black on my brush. Do it one more time. My glaze didn't really dry very dark right there. A little bit darker with my glazing. And just kind of use the corner of my brush to sort of run it out. Just kind of blend it in a little bit. Just zhuzh it out. New favorite word. Okay, so I'm getting close. How long have we been going? An hour and a half already, and we have less than one done. Not even one.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
All right, I'm going to just get this green on here. I'm going to use a little bit of purple. That will make it kind of more of a royal. Maybe even a little bit of blue and then a little bit of brown just to tone it down to a more neutral color. I think that'll be good. And this is going to go on this dark color, so it's going to be pretty dark itself, but I just want a little green undertone in my shadow areas. I know, I don't know what I was thinking. I always do these Saturday videos just before my bonus videos. The bonus videos usually take 5 or 6 hours on Sundays when I do them. I do them once a month and I finish a painting in one setting. It's usually a pretty complicated painting, and I always pick my Saturday videos, the Saturday of the bonus video, to like be something super simple, and I thought this one would be simple, but I'm spending way too much time on it. making it super realistic. I can simplify it a lot more than I need to. Lightly curved right there. Okay, you can get some of the, I'm going to go ahead and do this while this is wet. Let's see how it does. I get a little bit of this color and some white. And my water it down quite a bit because you need it watery. I'm going to get some glaze to add to that water. And you're going to want to follow the curve here. So follow that curve. Oop, not that much. This is almost too thin, I think. I'm going to use it to kind of start, and then I think what I'm going to do is do it by hand. Because these are a little too thin. Well, I guess it doesn't look bad. It's close. I guess some threads a little thinner than others. Did it while it was wet because it'll just kind of blend a little bit with that color. Can give it a little bit softer look.
And notice she's not breaking any rules by spinning the canvas around.
Yes.
So there's no rules against that.
No, and that helps you get a better angle on it while you're painting. Now going for a much lighter color here. For my highlights, almost white. And it's going to be kind of right in here, just below center. Again, make sure you're going in the same direction as before. Follow this curve.
Which brush are you using to do this?
This is the Filbert green here.
Thank you.
I don't know that I mentioned it. I think I just grabbed it. Started painting with it. Okay, there we go. I think I'm gonna leave that. I think that's close enough. And now it's too wide up here, so we'll glaze it. But I think I'm not gonna get super fancy with this. Move on. Okay.
Take your time, jeez. Somebody once said that some will come out tomorrow.
Okay.
You can bet your bottom dollar. I've followed that advice all my life.
Really? Okay.
And it's been true every day.
Go, Annie.
And how many people are singing that song right now?
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Okay, so adding a little bit of yellow to this purple. This is Dioxazine Purple. Adding this gold. You could probably just add the yellow oxide. See how it kind of mutes it a little bit. I'm not wanting to mute it all the way. I want it to be a really lovely, yeah, that's really pretty. Purple. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so I need the darker version though. So I added white to it just to see what it was going to do. So I grab a little bit of that and more of my purple. Mix this together. And paint that on. This is going to be almost black. Purple is one of the darkest. It is the darkest of your pigments. So you can substitute it for black. In most cases, it's going to be just as dark. and be really pretty. Put that on there and put on fairly thickly, because I see I just picked up that whole thing there, put my hand in it. Let's stay away from that green because I put it on fairly thick here as I'm hanging on, and the outside edges of the thread are not smooth, so there's a lot of, it's like all bumpy where that thread's coming out. So just keep that in mind. And I'm doing this before I do this because I know I'm going to have to go through here and make these lines, and it'll just be easier if I don't have to worry about painting over that there. So just again, finding my curve here, following that curve.
So I'm not sure how you were able to control yourself earlier today while I was mowing the yard.
Sexy man on the mower. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
I know. You had a look going on. You had a very specific look. It was interesting.
Middle-aged man.
Yes.
You should have seen it before I. Well, that's gonna sound wrong.
What?
So I was wearing shorts. I was gonna say you should have seen it before I put pants on. Put the gray T-shirt with the green long sleeve shirt and my black tennis shorts.
Yeah.
I had the look going.
Yeah, you had it going on today.
But then I put on the pants.
Well, and don't forget your hat.
Oh yes, and the straw hat.
Yeah.
Because I had my other hat on, but my gosh, it was hot.
Your Indiana Jones hat?
Yeah.
It's leather, isn't it?
It is. It does really well in keeping the sun off my head and ears and stuff, but
it gets hot.
Yeah. I'm trying to protect myself from all the UV rays there.
Yes. Good. Watch you around.
Me too.
Okay, so I'm not loving this color. It's too purple. I want more of that muted purple. Let me see what I want to add. Let me try adding brown to it. Grab some of this burnt umber here. See what that does. Yeah, that's closer, I think. Okay, let's try that. This brush really, I have way too much paint on here. We'll see if it comes off. Let's do it all right. Yeah, it's not, you can see how I'm having to do it multiple times there. That's because my paint's too thick. Okay. Come on. Here we go. All right, we'll see. I don't know. I don't like that one. Okay, we'll see about this color, adding it into the mix here. Added a little bit of burnt sienna. I'm just gonna have to let this dry. It's just too sticky. I waited too long remixing the color. Okay, this one didn't work out as well as that green one did. Still not exactly the color I'm looking for. It's almost like it's that kind of neutral purpley. Trying to figure out how to mix that color. Yeah, it's gray. I think I stuck up way too much purple in it. We'll let this dry and we'll come back to it. Let's go ahead and glaze these while that's drying. So I'm going to get my black and some glaze. I don't have any left. For now, we're half in. We split things up. Good. So do it better. Gonna get a little bit of burnt umber. Mix that with my black. I'm gonna use it under here. Just gonna darken up this whole area. And then if you get a straight line like that, you can just use your finger and clip it off. No biggie. Goes up fairly far though. There we go. So add that shadow there, and then adding a little shadow back here on the top. Or curves around the side. Same thing here if you haven't already done it. Maybe a little bit right there. The more paint you use, the darker it'll be. So if you need more like that, it wasn't dark enough, just grab a little bit more of the concentrated paint. Shadow there, and then right here, it's really dark right here where this one is blocking the light. Cast a shadow on it. What you doing?
Looking.
Okay.
It's more of an optical illusion.
What?
People are saying that the purple spool is leaning to the right, but it doesn't look.
It's because
the dark shadow.
Yeah, this and then
this whole edge is really a dark shadow.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, when we made the traceable, it was hard to even see where that started. Mm-hmm. And because of the angle of the camera, the camera is not straight on. If I turn it like this, it'll look straight. It looks angled because it's not flat to the camera.
Okay.
Yep.
That's what I thought. Just want to make sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's shade this up here. Get a little bit of that purple and the green, a little bit of the burnt umber, purple, green, burnt umber. Use that as my shadow color on here. I have the darker color here. I just tapped off the back end here to just take off a little bit of the extra color off here. And I haven't really thinned this out too much because I want it pretty dark. And I'm just going to tap it through this way. Darken up that back end there, and then do the same thing here. I want to get it nice and thick though. I need it dark. Under here, this end, this edge disappears underneath. So I need it really dark. There we go. I'm gonna get some black. I'm gonna use it. And then again, darken up this area here. So I'm just going to use this color on the ground right here. There we go. What are you seeing?
How difficult is this painting?
I think it's, well, I don't know.
It's not beginner.
No, it's not beginner, but it's not terribly bad, I don't think. I mean,
I would give it a 6 or 7.
If you draw it yourself, it's going to be hard. But if you use the traceable, I think, and follow the lines and pay attention to these angles and stuff, I don't think the techniques are particularly hard. But it is kind of, you're getting into some tight areas here. Anytime you're doing like these small areas where you're having to blend in them, that increases the difficulty factor quite a bit. So yeah, it's probably up there. What'd you say?
I didn't say anything.
I'd say 6, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, I was saying 6 to 7. Mm-hmm. And that is on a scale of 1 to 5. Oh, sorry.
No.
1 to 100? No, 1 to 10.
Okay, I think that's pretty good. Go ahead and use this thinned out paint to add make sure I'm kind of following the same-ish angles as before, because this is the same wood all the way through, so the grains will be just followed all the way down. And this must be cut cross grain or something, because it's not showing any grain lines at all in there. A little bit more black here, do a little bit darker up in here. Good. Oh, I like them. They look very rustic. That's one of the things. I think that's one of the things that drew me to this one. That's drying to a better color, but it's still way too purple. So we'll just have to try this. This is dry enough. So let me think. Let me make a violet. I'm wondering if I should start with a violet, like more of a pink, reddish purple first. So go a little bit more of the Quinacridone Magenta here. And then brown. Maybe a little bit of blue. The burnt umber and ultramarine blue is going to make that gray, right? So we're just basically adding gray to our purple. The more we add, the grayer it'll get. Okay, you can test the color by just adding a little bit of white to it. That's closer, I think. I'm going to add a little bit more of the blue and burnt umber. Okay, let's try this color. And we can use the burnt or the unbleached titanium instead of white to shadow it too. That'll introduce some yellow tones because it's a warmer yellowish white. Let's try this. Still not doing it brown enough. Add a lot of this brown. Probably need to start with brown and then add purple to it. Okay, let's try this color. Okay, better. It's streaking through that color that I just put down. There we go. That's muted it. That did it. And then just pull through that unbleached titanium into that. When you use a liner brush, you have to add a lot of water. So add some water and then add some more. You want it to be so when you run your brush through, you can see the palette through real easily. It should be like a milk consistency. And then twist it so that it comes to a good point for you. And I just roll off there'll be water right here. Roll that off so it doesn't affect your paint. Adding that glazing medium to keep it moist, or to keep it, make it stick. Weird color. And some of these are crisscrossing each other. This thread especially, it was very tangled. So I'm going deliberately kind of crisscrossing them in the middle here. This middle area is really the only part where you're actually kind of seeing the threads. The rest of it is kind of, well, you are a little bit on the sides too, but not as much. I'm going to go ahead and bring these out though, because I'm going to glaze just like we did with the green, with the purple once we get it all on here. Follow your curves. Keep an eye on that.
Is it too much to see? I keep my eyes on your curves.
Oh my gosh, that was good. I can see why, why we ended up together. Lines like that. Just don't matter.
Is it hot in here?
Okay, I'm taking that out. That was not what I wanted it to look like. So, alrighty, much better. This one, I'm gonna get some of the kind of medium color here. It's amazing how dull this color looks, but get it on here, it looks better. Funny. Going outside the line with some of these bigger threads here, and some of these are this one's got one that's going over and all the way to here. I'm just going to bring it across and out side the border there. And probably should have waited till I glazed everything before I did that. Now I'm thinking, oh well. Same thing here. I need to do the ones with the green over here before this green dries. Get some of that. This one's got a green thread going up over here and across and underneath. And then it's got one that's coming across this way. We're going to darken those up. So they're not nearly that bright.
Like your husband.
Kind of like that. Yeah. I was waiting for you to say that. Okay, getting the black here and just going back over these. The darker color. Especially as it comes around here, goes underneath, darker. It's okay if you kind of have a little bit of the highlight though, because it is catching a little bit of light as it's coming up and around. But up in the over here, it's not quite. I'm going to add a little bit more though so you can see it. I kind of like seeing that, but darken it up as it comes back down here so it's a little softer. And then grab that dark color, add it to the bottom of this. So this one has a shadow. Same thing here. Just make sure that these have kind of a shadow following them. Okay. Now this is dry enough. I'm going to use this. I'm going to get some more of this purple and brown here. Some dark color. Glaze that over. See how that changes the tone of the other colors too that we've got on there. So I'm going to use it on its edge here just to kind of run it through the lighter area here. It's darkest like down here and right up here where that shadow is. And then it's darker here all along this edge. Yeah, so burnt umber and purple, that's pretty much all I needed to do. It's pretty close. Yeah, it's the color right there. We did it. It took forever to figure out that color. I don't know why it was that hard. I kept wanting to make it more purple than it was. The problem, it's really more brown than purple. It's just like burnt umber with a little bit of burnt umber already has a little bit of a purple undertone though. So it's a good one for that. Just using the wet paper towel and kind of wiping off just along that middle area there to leave those highlighted threads. And then I'm going to go back in with my liner and my light purple and add that highlight back onto as it goes around there. And then if you want to get super fancy, these threads do have you can kind of do it sideways like this. I don't know, kind of like we did the rope, you know. give it a little texture. I mean, they do have like a texture showing. So I could go back in here with my purple and add like, not that, add my dark color if I can get any of it. Add my kind of shadow because it's not really a solid line here. I really should have put it in kind of more like that. Kind of put it in, dabbed it on.
You got a question about glazing.
Okay.
Is gray too opaque of a color to glaze with? And should glazing colors be reserved for transparent colors only?
Yes and yes, for the most part. Yes, that's it. You want transparent colors for glazing. It'll make it a whole lot more effective. Gray is, you can still glaze with it, but it's going to have white in it, you know. So unless you're using that super dark gray that we mix with the burnt umber and ultramarine blue, that, you know, without adding white, then you could probably use that, but it would, you know, it would be dark. So I'm going to use some of this dark along the side here and add my shadow side of my thread. And underneath this one all the way up. And I just darkened up that one where it crisscrosses over. I don't know if you can see that. And I'm going to get some of the lighter green and just kind of use the tip of this brush and just do a little diagonal, very, very thin diagonal lines through, just here and there. It doesn't have to be every here and there. It doesn't have to be everywhere. All right. That'll make it look more thread-like. You know, these are going to draw the attention because they're kind of, you know, sticking out and they're sort of our focal point ones. So it's important to kind of get those right and then you can use this color here and just kind of add a few extra detailed ones if I need them. Pretty happy with that. I want to add really bright purple right here, so we'll get some white here with my. When you grab the white and add it back in there, it's going to take forever. So just find a new spot here and use what's on your brush, because otherwise just keep adding more and more white until you got a ton, whole new section color there. Okay, so adding this white here, what's going to do is going to pull the eye forward in these spots. These ones will be look closer to us. So there and there, it's going to make those threads look like they're popping out forward, kind of curving. And we can do that along this one too. Let's do that on this one. Okay. I'm gonna get that shadow along here. What? Get some of that dark green right there. Come on. There we go. Let's try that again. magic in it. I love this part about art. It's like you look at this one and it's just like spools, no spools. Spools, no spools. I don't know. It's pretty fun. Okay, let's keep going now. So we got these pretty much done, and I'm happy with all of that. So we can work on this one now. I'm going to go ahead and put in the gold color. I'm going to get some of this Quinacridone burnt orange, or not burnt orange, Quinacridone nickel azo gold. And I need to add white because it's transparent. So this is what we're talking about with the, okay, so I'll show you the difference. If I go in with just this color over this brown, well, it's not a good example. I had that color. See how transparent it is, and it's not going to cover up these areas because it's transparent. So any of these areas right here where we have that wood grain, it doesn't matter how many coats of this I put on here, it's still going to be somewhat transparent. So I need to have just a little bit of that white. I just added a tiny bit of white to it. And now I can cover this whole area with this. And I can always make it brighter later. I can go back in and add more of the brighter gold, but this will make it cover for me. I suspect that person that was asking before, that's what happened with theirs. So they're trying to cover an area with a transparent color. It's just not going to happen. I'm still following that curve here, even though I'm putting this in fairly solid. It's not going on solid, so I'm still getting some lines through it. So I'm just going to follow that curve. We had a cool milestone yesterday with our channel. Every now and then I just kind of like go and check and just see like what the, like what our total number of all time is, on our, I'm not obsessed about numbers, but, every now and then I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And we had 25 million views total on our channel, like over all videos over the 9.5 years we've been making videos. I can't believe it's been that long. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So 25 million views. So thank you to those who've watched any of our videos and added to that number. I'm sure there's several of you that have watched them, more than one, hopefully. Hopefully those that are new to our channel will subscribe and come back and watch more. Got over 400 videos, so there's a lot to choose from. All kinds of different levels. This one is one of the more advanced, but we've got a ton of beginner ones too. So I made a greatest hits playlist. Hopefully everybody knows it's a joke. It's not like intended to be like, these are the greatest videos of all time. No, it's just like
they are.
Oh yeah, just a silly nod to music album thing. How they do after you've been
America's top 25.
Exactly. So
counting them down.
We did the top
one.
25 videos. Some are not as popular as others. Some I just picked because I like them. So, but if you want to check that out, that's on if you just click on my name or my photograph and go to the playlist section on my channel, it'll be probably one of the first ones up there. We just sent it out in our newsletter too and posted it all over Facebook. So if you're on any of those, you'll probably saw it yesterday being posted everywhere.
And then tomorrow
is our bonus video for patrons who $5 and up. We're going to be painting. What are we painting? A garden bridge. So we're doing a landscape. It'll be really cool, hopefully.
Not a golden bridge?
No, it's going to be the Central Park Bridge, actually.
No, that was from Tuesday night. I think I said golden bridge, and you looked at me like, what?
I don't remember.
It's like, no, garden bridge.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
That's right, garden bridge.
Garden bridge. Yeah, Mark can read.
But check out patreon.com/AngelaFineArt there, and you can...
If you're interested in joining us.
Yeah, $2 level is for the traceables going back to February 2017.
Yes, and the bonus videos are filmed on Crowdcast. So if you're new to Crowdcast, you may want to join today so that you get that all figured out. You have to log into your Patreon account, so make sure that you're using the same email on Crowdcast to try to register for the video that you are using on Patreon. I think some people who have trouble with that are using different emails, like they're going to Crowdcast and trying to register with an email that's not linked to their Patreon page. And that won't work. So I'm going to use this color right back here because I kind of stopped these lines before I got to the spool right here, and I need that contrast right there. What were you saying?
And the bonus video is at the $5 level for tomorrow.
Right.
And that's access to tomorrow's video plus all the previous bonus videos. So it's not just
tons.
that one.
Yeah, there's several.
And then there's a $10 level. That's all that plus an additional access to another Facebook group where there's another painting done throughout the month. And
right. And that one we do once a week. We take our time with that. I go more in depth in the process. Like last week, we spent Thursday, we spent the whole day just drawing for the most part. And we take our time with the drawing. So
for the price of about 2 cups of Starbucks coffee, you can get a month's worth of painting and videos and traceables. And
that's really only, I mean, like if you're a beginner, you don't need those. They're not like, they're just, and if you just want to go and hang out with us, then yes, by all means. But, therefore the kind of the person who wants to take the next step and kind of go a little bit deeper than I can do on YouTube. So a little bit more difficult tutorials and a little bit more hands-on one-on-one time, smaller groups. So, can you get your questions answered, if you don't get them answered here, whatever. Okay. So I don't have any more of that color left. My spool color, just going back here and bumping up the contrast here as I go. I just deepened up my shadows on all of these.
And real quick on that 25 million views, you released a bonus video.
I did.
Waves.
Yes.
So that's available. Also, some people were confused. They saw a new posting yesterday and they weren't sure.
Yes, that was an older video that we recorded for a bonus video for our patrons 2 years ago, I think, maybe. And so we just as a thanks for watching our videos. Here's one of our bonus videos. You can see kind of what they are.
Just some more.
Yeah. That one was actually kind of fairly short for a bonus video. It wasn't as long as some of them go. Seemed like the longer I do Patreon, the harder the videos that we do in our monthly challenge or monthly bonus videos have been getting. Last month we did this one here. This was our last month's bonus video right there. 5.5 hours, something like that. So that was fun. I like that one.
It's so nice having that filter.
Is it?
Yeah, because you can have air conditioning on in the summer.
No. Yeah, no, Mark's always burning me out in here in the studio. He was always turning off the air conditioning just before the show. And I'm like, don't. You have a menopausal woman and you're turning off the air. And I'm under all these lights. You will hurt you. You wanting to be?
Do you want to live?
Do you want to be hurt? Is that what you're asking? Because that's what I'm hearing right now with this situation.
Oh, look, I got to go outside for something. Got to go to the store.
Over at him and like, what? Like, seriously? Oh, shoot. I just got paint on there. Oh, jeez. I just did that. Making faces at you. Okay. This one got all out of whack. I lost my time, obviously. That one, something's wrong there. He's a little drunk. Okay, so we need to fix him. Let's see where we're at here.
Go home, spool. You're drunk.
No. Okay, I think he just needs to come up in the back here a little bit. Out on that side. It's probably too light, but we'll fix it. I think it comes out just a bit over here too. It may have come down a little bit too far. A bit. Not enough. Okay. Sometimes trying it upside down can help too, so I can see like that maybe over here it needs to be rounded out a little bit. Okay, and then using the, if I can find some, where is it? There it is. Using some of this brown burnt umber yellow oxide mixture here, just pulling up. And at the side here, it comes out a little bit and then rounds around. It should help the look of it too. I think it's just missing its sides here. Look a little awkward. Okay. Getting the burnt umber. Spray the paint all dried out. Burnt umber. Pulling up from the bottom. Got my shadow. I'm going to go ahead and use this down here too. No, not that dark. There we go. And then like right here, there's like a really light highlight where that turns and bends up into there. And then get into the medium color. This color, the spool is pretty close to the color of the red here. Get a little bit of burnt umber here, just tapping it along that edge. Okay, not bad. And we can add our thinned out stripes through here. Kind of curved this one. Okay. Get that white. Add it there and then add it here in the front. White crumbs and imperfections. And then get that black. With my glazing medium. Kind of opening that up a little bit. Okay, and then I need this dark color underneath here. Push that zip forward. And then do it again under here, just dark. Right there at the very bottom. And then a little bit. Okay. This one, get a little bit more of that burnt umber. I'm just going to use it along this edge here. Use a little bit of the darker color along the sides. Here and here. And then I'm going to grab some of that black and just, could be burnt umber too, it doesn't have to be the black. I'm just tapping a little bit of a rim on that shadow, just very subtle, so don't overdo it. And then I've got some of the lighter brown in here. Just going to use that to, with that black in there, and just use it to glaze. Back in here, you can see how thin this is. I'm just going to wiggle it around and kind of add it in different places here. Dirty up that spool it's got. It's not a smooth surface. All right. I'm pretty close. And then there is a pretty dark shadow right here I need to add. Just right up underneath the lip of that white area that's raised up right there. So just add a little bit more glaze right there. And I'll probably add some highlights to it to pull out some color, but I think we're close. I need to add some highlights to this. How you doing, hon?
I'm doing good.
You watch any good videos today?
I was watching a video on how to zhuzh up your boxed brownie mix.
That's what you're watching right now?
No, that's what I was watching earlier today.
Okay.
No, not now.
Like you act like that's like never happened before.
Okay, point taken.
Mark started a video during my show the other day. He was watching, going through Facebook. Okay, got caught out. Okay, just adding a little golden color in there. I don't really like what I just did because I kind of made it solid there. So let me go back through and kind of add some darker wood grain in there. There we go. Okay, let's let that dry. And we'll work on, geez, we've got so much left to do. Keep thinking we're getting close, and then I'm like, oh, now we got all the thimbles to do.
Yeah, I was really actually thinking of a conversation on a radio station earlier this week on whether they should do away with the penny in the United States. Yeah.
Interesting. I've heard that before. Yeah.
I heard a thing. I don't know how factual it is, but it sounds right for the United States that it actually costs more money to make it than a penny is worth.
Yeah, I think that's right. I've heard that too. Yellow oxide and cadmium yellow medium here. And then I'm going to get this time I'm going to use the straight color here, the Quinacridone gold. I'm just adding water, a little bit of glazy medium. I want it fairly thick. Gotta press my brush flat to get it where I can use it here and go over this color. You can see how pretty that gold is. Cadmium yellow medium is a opaque color, so it's going to cover pretty well. If you were using a yellow that was not opaque, a yellow oxide is also opaque, so it's also adding to the opaqueness of the highlight color that I just put on. But if you were using a yellow that was not opaque, you'd want to add a little bit of white to it on that previous layer there.
Somebody asked a question.
Okay.
What does oxide mean in the paint color?
Oxide?
Yes.
It's the chemical, I think. Oxide is a chemical formula, and ochre is the natural mineral. So we're actually using a chemical version of ochre. Here, I'm going to use a little bit of purple or Quinacridone Magenta added to this. I've been watching a lot of watercolor videos to kind of get ready for my debut. Getting ideas, and one of the ones that I watched the other day was the Mind of Watercolor channel. Oh gosh, his name escapes me right now. I think it's Mark. Well, no, I mean, but his last name.
It's so forgettable. Yes, I understand.
Stop. I didn't think of it. I don't know. I might have too much in my right brain right now. But anyhow.
What was the name?
The Mind of Watercolor is his channel.
I will look it up.
Yeah, look it up for me. Anyhow, he's awesome. So if you're wanting to learn watercolor, check him out. But I probably have the name all wrong.
Some dude.
Go to his About channel. It'll probably say.
About? His name is Steve Mitchell.
I love that I was so wrong. I knew it was wrong. I think it's Mark. Steve. Oh my gosh. Sorry, Steve. He's a friend of mine on Facebook too. I just talked to him this week, so that's how bad I am when I'm in my right brain. I'm lucky I remember your name, honey. Anyhow, sorry, Steve. That's hilarious. He was talking about how to pick colors to use for, like, if you want to keep your colors vibrant and, use find a shading color to keep your colors like richer, for watercolors. But this worked for acrylics too. And he said, go on the color wheel or on your palette or whatever, and find the next darkest color or a dark color that's analogous to. See if I can this idea here, stuff, Steve, but that was a great idea. So I'm giving you credit. Okay, where's my color wheel? What did I do with it? I think it's over here somewhere. I just lost it. But anyhow, you find a color that's similar to it on the color wheel. So in this case, we got our yellow, and the Quinacridone Magenta is darker than it. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. We could have used any kind of red, but we have the Quinacridone Magenta on our thing. So if I had like a red orange or red here, but you can see how much darker these are than our yellow. Yellow is really our lightest color anyway, so it's but it can be hard to mix or find a shadow color for it. I usually use burnt sienna, which is a brown red, which works. But if you want to keep it really vibrant, like we're doing here, I use magenta. Look how pretty that is as a shadow color. And so, like on our green, we went with like blue and purple. And purple is the darkest shadow. I use purple a lot to shadow colors because it works well with reds. Purple is one of my favorite colors to shadow with red. So anyhow, I thought that was interesting. I've never really heard of it mentioned that way, but he just said, one of the easiest ways to do is just find a color that's in the same, analogous 2 or 3 away from it, and then pick the one that's the darkest and use that as your shadow color. Good tip. So thanks to Steve. Mind of Watercolors. Check him out if you're into that. He's got a whole thing that talks about how to use good basics for watercolors. I need it badly. I don't know anything about them. I'm learning a lot.
Yeah, thanks, Mark, for the tip.
Shut up.
Hey, I get called John all the time.
I know you do.
He might as well be called Mark.
It's about time.
Everybody go to his channel.
Yes.
Call him Mark.
Don't. Angela called you Mark on her channel. Do not tell him that. I would be so embarrassed. Oh my gosh. So, yeah, that's awful. No, it's my bright brain speaking. I have an excuse. I swear. I'm lucky if I can remember my own kids' names when I'm painting. Okay, so making a light yellow, I added a little bit of that highlight or the shadow color to it to tone it a little bit down, so it's not super bright yellow. It's not really yellow, it's that gold color. So I'm just going to add some of these highlights back in here, and again, kind of like I did in the purple, crisscross them just a little bit. Some of these, this one, oh yeah, there is a string. I was going to say this one doesn't have a string coming out, but it does. But it does. How long are we at now? 2.5 hours? Dang it. Did I say that a lot? I did. All right, so there's our little string coming out the side there. Oh, and it actually comes out a little farther than that. Comes between here and goes down there. I'm going to use the darker color just to kind of add some random threads coming off the side here. I'm going to shadow this again because I need to add highlight to this thing coming out there. Oh, I missed it all. There we go. Okay. And keep an eye on your curve here. So I want to be mimicking that curve. I'm using white here. But you can, I'll show you what we're going to do when we highlight it. It'll tone down. Keeping the highlight part though kind of right in the middle here. And I might add in a little, I can see here, I need to add a little more highlight just right in the middle of this guy. A little flat. So just right through here. There we go. And with almost white on these, so well. So look at this now. Now we're going to glaze over with the gold. It's drying pretty fast, so I'm just going to go ahead and glaze back over. Look how bright that leaves those. Using that kind of transparent glaze over the top of that white, it really pops that color. And then I'm going to use this darker one that has the purple, pink, yellow, purple, pink, yellow, magenta in it. Magenta is the color I was going for there. I still can't believe I got Steve Mark. I don't know why I thought it was Mark. God, I love it. Okay, done. Let's do the thimble. Hopefully these. I don't know. I've got no fresh paint. I'm gonna have to put out fresh paint. What? Yes. Get rid of all this. Okay.
What is that?
Come in. All right. And what? There's my. There it is. Fresh ultramarine orange or Umber. So I'm going to mix more of that gray. Okay. Angle brush here. Grab a pretty good amount of each of these colors. Just about equal parts. Maybe a little bit more of the blue than the brown this time. Trying to keep this paint kind of in a centrally located area too. So every now and then I'm going to scoop it up and just redeposit it in a little smaller area so it's not so thinned out. Okay. And I'm going to grab all of this up because it's got all kinds of colors in it. It's not going to hurt anything. Yeah, it's pretty good. And our this one is getting a lot of yellow tones, so I'm going to get some of the yellow oxide here, add it over here. I'm going to use that on the inside of this one. In fact, it's even brighter than that. I'm going to go ahead and maybe get a little bit of this gold. Try that in here. It's brighter than that. It's more yellow. Get it in there, and I'm like realizing it's pretty close to the same color as this here. Okay, and then I'm gonna grab this darker gray and just do this side of it. And while it's wet, just gonna blend it back. I always put the new color in a fresh area. So putting the new color over here and then blending it back into that wet color to blend them together. Putting it on fairly thick so it goes on nicely and blends for me. If you don't put enough paint down, you won't have time to blend it. It's one of the nice things about the heavy body acrylics that make them a little bit easier to use than the thinner paints, so that they blend a little bit better. They give you a little bit more working time. Okay, so then this outer rim, I'm going to use this darker color. And I am going to use black too. I'm going to grab that black. I'm going to use the black in places, maybe with a little bit of brown. So like right up here, it's pretty dark. I'm going to go ahead and put that in, wet my brush off. This paint is still a little bit wet, so I'm just going to pull it down into this paint here. Try to blend it. I could add that later when it's to glaze it too if I needed to, but it's working okay. That yellow was almost dry, so I'll just add a little bit more yellow right there where they meet. Okay, I'm getting the dark brown. Actually, let's get this blackish color. Just gonna go over the top of all these threads and things. I'll probably need a smaller brush for this part. So you might want to switch to a round brush right here. For this little rim. It'd be easier to control. I like to live dangerously. Okay, there you go.
You are wild, that's for sure.
We're getting crazy in here now. Watch out.
Got our gang jackets on in here.
All right.
I'm gonna go rev up the Prius. Scare all the neighbors. They don't call a popo on us.
Gosh. Okay, I gotta wet down all these brushes because they've been sitting out of the water for a while. Keep them moist until I can dry them. I added a little bit of that gold, gray gold, to my white over here. The dirty white that has a little bit of the gray in it. And I'm going to use that on the rim. We'll see how this goes. I'm going to wipe most of this off and just kind of dry brush it on here. Just inside the lip. Do you like that? Okay, then I'm going to up here where they're meeting, the meeting of the lines. This has definitely got a lot of gold in it. It's kind of a brassy color. This one is. I'm going to go in the opposite direction with the darker color and just kind of brush some of that on. Okay. Then on the inside of our little dude here, I'm going to do a few little dimples in my, there's like a little something coming from the inside, and then maybe a little bit of gold and yellow. Like that. What?
Oh, I'm just having fun with Mona.
Oh, what are you doing to Mona?
So she said that she had heard a noise on her back porch. And it's 11:40 at night there.
Oh, no.
And so she went and peeked out the curtain, and she said that it was a huge cat.
Oh, my goodness.
And she said probably a make cat, because her make cat, and her neighbor has female cats. And then she corrected male cat. And I said, well, those make cats are pretty scary. And now somebody's asking, what's a make cat?
Oh, no. See what you start?
I know. I have to.
Dirk likes to mess with people.
What?
Yes. It's one of your favorite things.
They'll learn never to take me serious.
Yes. Well, I learned that too late in our marriage, I think. Because we'd have the weirdest arguments about the most stupid stuff. And then I realized he was just doing it to mess with me. You didn't really believe what you were saying. You were just like messing with me. I don't know how long we'd been married before I figured out what you were doing.
Well, to be honest, I think I have really thought about this because I find it interesting how we all do it. We all say things, but if you really take it literal, it makes no sense.
Yes.
Like somebody asked earlier about, how do you get your lines so thin? Is it, the hand pressure or thin paint? And I said, well, it's thin paint.
Right.
And then they said, well, it's probably the weight of the hand. I said, well, I don't know how much my hand weighs. But do you know how much a hen weighs?
A hen weighs?
Yeah.
I didn't have to know you said that to them.
No, I didn't say that. So anyways, the moral of the story is don't listen to me. Or Angela's math. Other than that, we kind of know what we're doing.
Okay. Between the two of us, we can figure it out. Mark can handle the math. I'll be nice to you. I won't mess with your head. Oh my gosh. I used to get so mad at him when he'd post stuff in my Facebook group because he'd like always post the random stuff. Post like stuff that people didn't realize he was joking and confuse all kinds of people. And then we'd have this whole thing where people were confused. We had we call it rap apocalypse once, where he, as a joke, posted a picture of a dead rat with flowers on its head and said that there's going to be our next boho rat painting. Oh my gosh. People left the group because of that.
You were doing boho girls.
It was.
Girls with flower wreaths in their hair.
Right. And Mark's.
So we had boho rat. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's not like we killed the rat. It's like we weren't being cruel to it. But apparently we weren't. I don't know. There was some people that went off on it. They were not happy with you or me. See, so I apologize. I've been. I'm not going to say it.
Okay, so
yeah, I know you're joking, but not everybody else does.
And a lot of people knew I was joking.
I know. The 99.9% knew you were joking. I agree.
Yeah. So
it's the 0.1% that are the loudest sometimes. Isn't that the truth? Oh, goodness. All right. Get all this paint off my hands because what will happen is I will touch my canvas here and I will end up putting paint where I don't want it. Transferring it from my hands. I still don't know how I got any of that paint on my hands. No clue. Still feel like he's a little bit off. I'm not really sure exactly where, but I'm not going to worry about it. I think it's up in here. I think I don't. I mean, I said I don't. I'm not going to worry about it, but I am worrying about it. I am worried about it. I'm going to get a little bit of this gold, brown, yellow color here and mix it with my unbleached titanium. I think I'm just going to round it off over on this side. I think that's part of it. I'm trying to see if it's like even on my picture. Mark's laughing at me because I'm turning my head sideways to look at my photograph.
So you're not using any gold paint, are you? Like gold?
No.
Oh. Okay.
Metallic, you mean? No.
Yeah, so just somebody had asked. Yeah.
Iridescent. No. No, but you could if you wanted to. Silver. I'm going to be using it for the hummingbird painting. I don't use metallics a lot because what it does, you lose your depth when you use metallics. Because they are all flat when you look at them in the light. They're all just shine, So if you use them sparingly. I'm going to paint it normal first and then add the metallics in key areas. But I'm not on this one. This one's just paint. Just the paint applied in the right, places with the right colors. The gold tone in this one is making it look gold. This one's definitely more silver than this one here. So I'm painting around kind of the shiny parts on this one. Just write this down. I end up with 4 hours. I don't know how long have I been going. 3 hours already? Yeah. Me and my short tutorials on Saturdays before the bonus video. I get so irritated with myself. I did this last month too. Oh well. So I want to do this right though. This one's fun and
yes,
I want it to look right. So
oh, for sure.
I'm gonna take my time.
Do it right.
Even if I pay for it tomorrow.
But from now on, you have to clear your paintings with me prior to your bonus videos. Because you say, how long will this take me? And I'll be honest with you.
Okay, good.
Realize you've done like over 400 videos.
Right.
And I think one of them may be under an hour. Okay.
Okay.
So that's a reality check.
True dat. True dat. Okay. That's on it. That's fair. That's fair. I take that.
Because you like your job so much, you get lost in it. And it'll be hours later.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, it's been 3 hours.
Yes. Agreed.
Some of us have jobs where like, oh, it's been 3 minutes. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. True. True. I do have the blessing of enjoying what I'm doing. And when you paint, you do get lost in it. And that is one of the reasons why it's used for therapy is because it is so, it takes you out of your worries and your pain and concerns. I think God gave us art because he knew we were going to need it. I think it's a blessing. I definitely feel blessed to be able to paint with you guys. Okay, so just adding the highlight here and here, kind of across from each other. I make this one a little bit brighter right up here. Close, but the edge is rolled, but the highlight doesn't go right up to the edge. I used to do that, and in decorative painting, you'll see that a lot, where you'll have a. It happens sometimes, like here it did, but when you have a rounded object, if you've got a straight object, you might see this, like here, you might see this dark. Or right here, like say, we've got this cutoff between this color here and the dark here. Well, here we've got a rounded curve. This is not a good example. I'm trying to think of where it would be a good example. I don't have any straight lines here, so I can't really show you what I'm talking about. But if you've got two things meeting where you have a cutoff, like a cutoff and you want it to look squared off, you'd put that highlight right on that edge right there, and then the dark right here, right? With this, because it's rounded, you're going to have dark down here, and your light's not going to hit till like right here. So it's not going to be right on the edge right here, if that makes sense. So if I wanted to make it look squared off, I would put my highlight in a different place. Okay, I need to move on. Start. I need to stop. I'm getting all excited about showing it. It's going to take me another half hour to just get back to what I was doing. Keep on going, Nanch. All right, Mark's laughing at me.
Just at you talking to yourself.
I know.
But hey, you cut yourself.
I did. I stopped myself. What'd you say? I what myself?
You cut yourself.
Caught myself, I did.
Mm-hmm.
Caught myself going down the rabbit hole. Okay, so I'm going to put these divots in, and I'm not going to put them in solid. They're not solid. The highlight is kind of on the bottom half, so I'm going to kind of put the kind of a semicircle almost. And then as they go around the side here, they start to flatten out, and you're only seeing like they're getting closer together, and you're seeing them like a oval, kind of like this, circular from above. As it goes around the side, or look tilted, it's oval. So these ones on the sides here are just a line, and then the ones that are facing us fully are circles. There's only a few of them that are really circles. The rest of them are just little ovals going off. Okay, something like that. I don't know. I don't think I got those exactly right. Placed. Let me see how many I added. I might have added an extra row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I did it right. I just need to make these a little bit bigger. And they're kind of in between. So, and they go in a kind of a row. So if you kind of look here, you should have them all lined up. Makes sense? Okay, I'm going to let that dry. And I'm going to do a little bit more of the brassy gray. Get a little bit of this yellowish gray here. And add a little bit of that up in here. Kind of in and around these. I probably should have done the circles first. I'm going to do that on this one. I work around them. I'm going to use this brush. It'll give me some texture. This is kind of that. Is that all? Can you hear that? Or was it? You did? You had that thing off? Oh, lovely. You just turned it on when the air conditioner's on or something?
Yeah.
Ah, I see. Didn't have it on for the neighbors. I'm gonna add some more of the highlight color through here. I'm gonna be going back through here and adding my shadows back in, so just kind of know that. Just adding some highlights to that thimble there. All right, I'm gonna let that set and dry. I'm going to add my highlights to the tips of these. I'm using thinned out paint here. Oh, I don't know why I'm not using my Zinc White. That's why I got it out. Oh well. I'll use it. Alright, so getting some of this more gray, not as much of the yellow that was in this one. This one's got more of a silver tone. Going to you could use a dot, you know, like the back end of your brush or something if you wanted to do this part with that. I think it wouldn't hurt. You still have to go through and add the detail, but kind of speed things up maybe a little bit. Of course, I'm not being super careful about these being perfect circles, so if you're worried about that, then it can take more time than I am here, but they're also going to be following the curve of the thimble, so I'm going to go ahead and put that curve in up here so you can see what I'm talking about. So that's that edge. I'm going to get some of the darker gray here. Kind of fill in around these with the gray. I'm blending out that top part there. And the nice thing is this metal is kind of scratched up and it's not like smooth, so we've got little imperfections in it we can take advantage of. And going in and around my little dots that I just did. This color, it's kind of just a shade light darker than that light highlight color. That's not light on that side, but getting that shadow color here. Let's go ahead and fill in this bottom part with this. It's pretty close to our background color in the darkest areas here. Might add a little bit of black even. And then I still haven't filled in all my little circles here. So all of these are going to line up in the same curve as this. So all of these, they're all going to follow the same curve. paint fairly thick here. It's allowing me to kind of scribble with it a little bit, getting this kind of rough edges that I'm getting here. A little bit softer look. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and use the little bit of the yellow and my white, mostly white. And I'm going to move to the number 1 brush, which I probably should have been using for those anyways. Get some water, a little bit of glaze. I want it pretty bright though, so stick with mostly white here. And I'm going to go back in here now with these and add a little bit more carefully little highlights to these, just along the one side.
We got a question. We got a moment. The person says that they get a brain block when painting metallics.
Okay.
Because they watch it being done, but then they're not able to replicate it. Do you have any suggestions?
Well, brain blocks in general just are happening because you're allowing your brain to kind of do the work. So I think one thing that could help is to not to look at your reference photo a lot, like be in constantly checking and rechecking your reference photo. Okay, so this curve got off right here, so it's coming out a little bit farther than I have it. Because what's happening is you're probably you're allowing yourself to paint from memory, and instead of painting what you're seeing. So, and that happens when we don't stay in tune with the reference photo. Happens in drawing a lot when people are drawing. So, and I was gonna say, like with drawing, you can turn stuff upside down and look at it differently. It's kind of hard when you're doing metallics because you can't really trick your brain. I was trying to think of a way that you could kind of trick your brain into thinking it's not doing metallics, but it's just, I think the main thing is going to be just to kind of discipline yourself to not to get so focused on what you're painting that you're not stopping and looking at your reference photo frequently. You should be looking at your reference photo almost as much as you're painting. Constantly looking back and forth. If you're trying for realism, that is, if you're just going for something that's interpretive, then do whatever you want. But okay, and then bright. I had my angle off there. Right there and right here, really bright. I'm gonna glaze these so they still this doesn't look rounded because this is all the same value all the way across here. Adding the highlight on this guy here, helping to start define it. Okay, so see right here, my tendency would be to continue that highlight all the way around. That's how somehow in my brain I'm thinking that it should look. But then as soon as I look up in the reference photo, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that does not continue there. It actually starts to go dark, and this side is dark. So even though my brain is telling me, you know, oh, no, 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 you know, like it, we want to do it the way we think it should be. You just have to kind of stop yourself from doing that and just look and do what you're seeing. Don't do what you think it should look like. Do only what you're seeing. And if you get it done and you still don't like it, well then, you know, then that's one thing. But you got to kind of trust what you're seeing and start to really develop that habit of trusting what you're seeing. And when you have a block like that, 9 times out of 10, it's that you're not trusting what you're seeing and you're letting your other, you know, your brain kick in and do things that are not there, you know. And so you just got to stop yourself and look and, you know, look at your reference frequently. So like right here, I'm thinking I should continue this gray color in here, but this is actually really dark right here in my reference photo. So the dots are light, but the in-between parts are dark. So I need to go back in here and darken up those in-between parts and leave my dots light, you know. I just have to do what I'm seeing. And then, you know, if I continue to do that and continue to check my references, if I was left on my own devices and to just kind of do what I think would look good, I'd probably end up with it looking very flat and not quite realistic. I know it would, because I haven't painted anything like this before, so I really don't know what I'm doing, but I'm relying on what kind of my brain is trying to tell me that makes sense to it, which is not always the case because, you know, I don't have a photographic memory for everything. You know, I have to paint something multiple times before I can paint it from memory. I just don't have that ability, and most people don't. I mean, unless you're some sort of artistic savant, you are going to need a good reference photo to be able to paint realistically. So, all right, adding the dark here around the side.
Other than this is the first time you're painting it and figuring it out,
right?
Is there a reason why you put in the white dots before the background?
Yeah, on this one I didn't do the dots, and then I was having trouble figuring out where they were. So on this one, I have the dots already drawn in, and so it just helped me do it faster. It's mainly it's just for speed. Need for speed. I just wanted not to have to think about it too much. I'm gonna do that here. So, plus I found that it's just as easy to paint around the dots than to do, because there's a lot of shading happening in the in between the dots. They're not solid all the way across, so doing them this way, it just adds to that look of that brushed metal. I lost my dots that are all the way across these outer ones, I think. I don't know what I did. Yeah, there's some here that I missed. Sorry, I'm talking to myself. Talk amongst yourselves while I'm figuring this out. Just realized I painted over my whole set of dots that are along the ridge right here, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep. Okay. So there's one right here. Okay, and then getting that darker color and just going in between here, because there's all kinds of like different reflections that I'm seeing in all of these. They're not, like I said, they're not a solid flat color. And these ones on top are a little bit tricky because they're round, so they're not in rows necessarily. They're doing this round thing where each row is making a circle. forever. I should have known though, thimbles not easy to paint. Even just thimbles would have been hard. Oh well. Too late now. We're not getting our short video today, huh?
I kind of knew that. I wasn't taken by surprise.
Really? How did you know that? And I didn't.
Well, you look at all the details and the textures and the shapes.
Yeah. Okay. So you get to pick it next time?
Unless you're just going to do like a white circle and a green blob and an orange blob.
That's true.
It was going to take a little while.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's okay.
I'm kidding.
People like it.
Oh, good. Good. We have good numbers today, or is everybody out doing their yards again?
We're at 413 right now.
Okay. I'm good. It's not bad.
About 4 hours ago, about hour and a half ago or so, we were at about in the 550s, 560s.
Oh, really? So we lost them?
I think some of them fell asleep and the computers timed out and logged off.
They're like,
It could be like that.
I'm not going to sit for 3 hours on a Saturday. I don't blame you.
It could be like that one vampire on What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh my gosh, I love that show. Am I the energy vampire? Is that what you're calling me? Where I just drone and drain people's energies by talking about mundane things. Okay, I see. I'll take that. Constructive criticism.
More than one person has fallen asleep because your voice is so soothing and so level.
Good.
No,
good,
seriously.
Good. Yeah. No, I know. I get those comments a lot. Like, I never know quite what to think of that.
Yeah, and we kind of lost the Middle East and Europe. It's like middle of the night there.
Oh,
so.
Mona's probably gone to bed.
Yeah, Mona's gone off.
Thanks, Mona.
But we picked up Australia's, and
Nice.
we'll probably pick it up in the Far East.
There we go. All right, so adding a little green there, probably a little more than is in the photograph, but we'll tone it down later. I'm going to add some down here too, to the highlight right there. Oh, I love it. This is the fun part of painting for me. It's when it starts to kind of start looking real. Okay. Oh. I'm going to get some of this dark here. I've got a little bit bigger brush. I can kind of cover a better area. Going in between here now. I'm not going to be particularly super... I'm kind of being careful, but if I go over a little bit, that's fine. Just using the darker color here to kind of fill in all these areas that were brown before. How you doing, Nan? You hanging in there? You hanging in there? You're closing up shop.
No,
I'm going to get a snack.
The over ear.
I hope you brought enough snacks for today.
I had part of your quesadilla there.
Oh, did you? Good. Glad it got used. All right, I am doing these highlights, doing streaks up and down, leaving these kind of lines in them because they're in my photo. So it's kind of that middle. Gonna use the light color all the way up to here, and as it goes around here, as it comes around the top of some of these, it's curving down. So my highlight's kind of curving down in between these ones that are in front here. Man, it's kicking my butt. Getting some more white here. This brush is probably too small or too big. I'm going to do it down here. I'm going to do my highlight. And then grab my gray. See why I didn't draw this. Sorry for you. No, I usually like to draw them. I'm glad that was a good choice because it would add another half hour easy to this if we drawed it. This is my tired brain talking now. If we tried to draw it. What I meant to say. That is coming out entirely too far right there. Getting black. Okay, then I need to get my highlight color and add it right here. Dry brushing along that seam, and there's an area right here that's really bright white, that's more smooth. It is not a straight line, it's got kind of a curve there. And see what I did here? This is what we were talking about, where your brain kind of does things where it's not there, that's not there. This is all dark back here. I continued that highlight way back over here thinking that that's what it needed to do before I was looking at that. So I need to highlight that back. This is all dark. All in here. It only starts to have a highlight till right about there. See that? You gotta catch yourself when you do stuff like that. And you will. I do it all the time. I did it over here too. This highlight does not go that far. And this side is a lot darker than I have it. Shading the sides here. Sweet. All right, let's do this. I'm gonna glaze. Get my black. Glaze. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and use black for my glaze. I was thinking I might use a color, but I don't think I will. So I'm gonna do it right in here. Wiping that off. Just getting a little bit more on the tip here, doing it along the bottom. And over a little bit on some of these. There, and then This whole area is pretty dark. Get a hard line like that, I can just get a little bit of water, wipe my brush clean, and just kind of use a damp brush and just push it back, brush it in.
So it looks like, here with the different shades of gray and black and the layers give it that silvery metallic look.
Right.
Even though there is no metallic paints used, it's just that play of value.
Yes, play of values. Plays of dark and light against each other.
And not one-dimensional. It helps giving that layers.
Right.
Yeah, as like you would normally see in real life.
Right.
The color changes from the refraction of the light at different angles.
Right. Yeah. Let me get some of that kind of light wood color. Brush a little bit of it in there. Really dark black. I don't know, for some reason this keeps getting grayed out. Maybe I'm using too much glaze or something, but like right here it needs to be black. And right here. Dark black right underneath that guy right there. Really, this whole area is dark there. So you don't even really see the back end of that as much. Well, there is actually, kind of did the wood a little too dark here, noticing, just in general, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. Doing the black around my circles here in some of these areas. Keep an eye on where you're seeing it and where you're not. So like right up here, this whole area here is more highlighted around the divots. And there's more shadows inside, so I'm going to have to add some shadows to these divots. I feel like I'm always apologizing to you for painting shoes.
So those divots have a double role.
Oh, do they?
Yes. One is the holes let the finger breathe so that it doesn't get all sweaty and wrinkly.
Uh-huh.
But also helps catch the needle so it doesn't slip, according to the intraweb.
Cool.
In case people are wondering.
I like it. Little kind of imperfections in the metal where it was cast there, and then doing some more shine right there. Getting my highlight color. I'm going to go in the middle of my divots now. Add a brighter highlight in the middle of them. Some of them have lost their shine altogether. Oh, some of them I need to add detail in the middle and then kind of around the sides. So like some of these where I left that dark, I'm going to go over the top now with the kind of a little bit thinned out version. And then the brighter color right in the middle, right there. And not all of them have the circle all the way around them. So as they come around the sides here, it's kind of fainter and darker. That one I got too dark all the way around, so I'm just going to get some black and put it in the middle right here. If you need to, you can put the dark back in. I have the dark and the light to have some contrast. There we go. I do just a few more. I think we're about done, maybe. Hopefully. Yeah, these ones. Good. The highlight's kind of on the middle, kind of, I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Yeah. I feel like that is not the right curve. So this needs to be higher right here. This one came down too low. Right there. So I need to fix that. Needs to go up. And then the highlight part is bring it down. We need to bring it down and bring it up. There we go. All right. And there's just like on this side, there's just like little, nothing, you can't really tell what they are. Just little bits of color or little bits of lighter gray. They all kind of blend together a little bit back up in here. And I kind of run it side to side and just bring it down just a little bit into the divots because they all kind of blend together a little bit through there. And then I gotta do the same thing with these ones. This ones are on the top sides. The lights hitting them up here. These are ovals. If you're doing them circles, they're not supposed to be circles over there. If they come around the side here, they're flat. All of these are flat in this top part. None of them are circles. They're all little flat ovals. Because we're seeing them from the side, not seeing them from the top. Up. And I want some of this yellow. Yellow and my gray here. Pick up shiny objects, pick up the colors around them. So this one will have some of the yellow. Some of the wood color in the spool. So this one. Right there is some spool color or some, wood. And there's just a little bit of kind of a ghost of that gold in here. I'm just going to kind of wash it in. Over my dark area there. That'd be kind of a color in my shadow area there. Can use a little bit of it in my. It's really, you can get as fancy as you want to here. I'm getting nitpicky, so I'm going to stop here in a second, but glazing is a really good way of adding some of these colors back in that you're seeing, but you don't want to change your total, you don't want to paint over everything. So by glazing, you can kind of leave what's already there and just add a tint of color here and there. So I'm going to use a little bit of this in here. Yellow, some gold. In here. And then I need to add my shadows back in to the thimble divots in this guy. Grab that black, put the glaze. Some of the insides of these are shadowed opposite the highlight. Some of them kind of almost have a outline, so I wouldn't outline them all, but how you doing then?
I am doing good. How are you doing?
All right, I'm almost done here.
20 minutes.
20-minute warning. Could be true. I might surprise you. Adding another highlight. I need to bring the highlight up here a little bit, I think. Just a little bit. See anything I missed? You guys usually see things that I don't while I'm painting, so speak now or forever hold your peace. Using the white here to just add little bits of highlight to some of these areas. Of course, it's not pure white because it's got all kinds of other colors in it. So Wow, that turned out really nice. I like it. Give this a minute. So, my paint is thick and it's making my nails look weird. Let's try that again. Got about halfway through my name there. I was like, nope. That paint was just sticking weird. It wasn't flowing off the brush at all. Let's try that again. If you're having trouble with your signature and you can see what happened there, if I didn't know that it was just my paint, I might have pressed down a little harder to try to get that paint to come off my brush, and then it really would have been a mess because it would have added pressure, and then my signature would get really thick and heavy. So a lot of times I think people are just not adding enough water to their paint when they're doing line work like that. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more highlight on here. And
so I think to go back to an earlier question about painting thin lines, it may be good practice just to practice your signature.
Yeah.
And, once you get that down with the right amount of water and paint ratio and pressure, then you'll have it down to paint thin lines in your painting.
Very good idea, honey.
Thank you. So I want everybody, after class, your homework is to paint your name 1,000 times. We need to see it turned in.
I guarantee you, if you do that, you're going to improve real fast.
Yep, just like, like Michael Jordan and others, they would, after practice, they would stay behind and they would shoot another 200, 300, 400 free throws and stuff because they just kept practicing and just made sure it was like second nature to them. And that's what separates the Jordans from the rest of the league.
Yeah, very true.
And that's why I don't play basketball.
If you want to improve, you have to practice. That's just the plain, simple fact. I'm going to get them dark, and I'm going to go between all these with dark. It's the only way around it. You can watch as many videos as you want, but if you're not actually doing it, it's not going to help you. I watched a video the other day, and the guy was talking about drawing, how to improve your drawing or how to improve his art, And he said that the guy he was working for was a really famous artist that was known for doing like dog and something. I don't know. Anyhow, he basically he had kind of picked one thing and excelled at it, And he was like, if you want to improve, because he was like, he did music and he did sculpture and he did this and he did that. And there's been, there's all kinds of studies out there. It's a common, fact that if you want to excel at something, you've got to focus on just that one thing. You can be a 1% and do 10 things at 1% and do them 1% well, or you can do one thing 10 times and do it 10 times better, So that makes, I don't know if that made sense, but, so you want to improve your line work, do it like Mark said, do it to the nth degree, do it and do it again, and then do it again some more. He said that the guy that he worked for, he said, pick one thing, stop doing 20 things halfway decent. Pick the one thing that you want to do, draw just that and only that. for like, a month or whatever. And a lot of times you are going to do better if you have your subject already picked, because half the battle is to pick something to paint. Like 90, a lot of times is just to kind of pick a subject. So if you already know, and I did that unknowingly, not knowing that was a good practice. I just thought it was weird, but I painted nests. I must have painted, how many nests did I paint? I don't know. I know it was over 100, probably close to 200 nests within the span of like 2-3 years. It's almost all I painted.
Yep.
And that was just before I started on YouTube. And what was the first painting I ever put on YouTube?
The nest painting.
And that was right when I started teaching. I was teaching more, and I was getting bored with painting nests somewhat, but I was still enjoying it. I don't know, something about the repetitiveness of the lines and the colors and everything really appealed to me, so I just did it. And then the eggs themselves required a lot of glazing and blending, and so it was just a really good one to do, I guess. I don't know. And I was just going from decorative painting, which is kind of a whole different bird, to this kind of painting, the fine art painting on canvas, after years of just doing wood paintings and stuff. And canvas feels very, very different. If you've ever painted on wood and go to canvas, wood is super smooth compared to canvas. So there was quite a challenge. And so, by doing that, by kind of just limiting myself the way I did, and I did not, like I said, I did not do it because somebody told me to do it. I just did it instinctively because that was what I wanted to do, and it sold. And so I was like, okay, I'll just keep painting them until it stops selling.
Yeah, you sold one too. Is that the one that you sold to that executive in New York or something? Nest painting?
No, that one was a fruit painting. But I sold one. I had one in the governor's calendar.
Well, that's right.
And we went. Yeah, we went to the governor's mansion.
That was pretty fun.
That was fun. And then I sold one. One of the nest paintings hang in the with the P. Rockefeller Cancer Center in Little Rock.
Yes. Yeah.
So I sold one to them when they were just building it. They
for Arkansas artists,
opened it up to bids for Arkansas artists. You had to submit your paintings and stuff, and they picked paintings to hang in there from. And I've gotten contacted from a lot of people that go there for treatment that say they really like that one. It's called Promise. So it's just a nest with a few eggs.
Mm-hmm. Quick.
Yes.
Somebody's asked, should there be more shadow under the right thimble?
This one?
Yeah.
Probably. Well, probably the problem is that I've made my background too dark already. I shouldn't have put my shadow in until after I painted the thimbles, because now I have the shadow in there and I don't have any contrast. Do a little bit of the lighter color in here. The problem is you're not seeing any contrast. That's the thing. It's all dark. It's dark. It's probably as dark as it can get right there already, but I just need a little contrast up to it so that you can see that it's dark right there. That's all it needed. So, is that better? Now, get it out.
Excellent.
All right. And
so you need to rest up.
I probably could. Yeah, I do need to rest up. I'm gonna put a little bit more black right there. I can see where it's maybe a little gray. Get the true black. I'm just gonna put it right up against it with the true black. Just pull it out a little bit. Put a little bit on the thimble itself too. And this thimble here, I'm going to get a little bit of the lighter gray and just kind of refine that bottom edge of it a little bit better as it goes into that shadow. I could probably do better on these, if I spend another half hour on them, but I'm going to call it quits for Mark's sanity and mine. Maybe do a little bit of dark here. Some of these again. Anytime you do some highlights or something and they're just too harsh, then just go back in with some glaze and that will soften them up. It's a really easy way of I'm just going to go over all this. Yeah, I like this one better than this one. I like the opening of this one. I don't like the divots in this one. I didn't really take my time on. I'm going to do one more. I need to. It's bugging me. I got to fix these. They got all misshapen. Okay. Let's stop there. Okay, now it looks like it's not tilted either. I think we got the colors spot on. I'm really happy with the colors. I'm going to call it good. All right. Thanks for watching today. And if you're going to paint along with me here and want to share it with me, I've got links all down in the description for that, for where to get the traceable for this. It's on patreon.com/AngelaFineArt. And we will, like I said, be doing a bonus video tomorrow. I'm going to round this out a little bit more. Mark's laughing at me because I do this all the time. This is unnatural. You don't ever start a painting and finish it in one setting. Ever. I never do that. Except for when I'm painting for you guys. But if I was doing this, on my own, I would take my time and come back to it, look at it. You can always see things later. There's 90.9% of the time, there are things that I will see that I would have changed if I, had not been painting it all in one sitting down. So, when you finish yours, set it somewhere where you can see it for a couple days, and then you can see if there's anything you want to change. But the minor adjustments, what was I saying? Oh yeah, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Let me know how you liked it, and if you want to see more like this, you got. I really enjoyed this kind of subject. Of course, I take forever to do it. 3 hours? No, 4 hours. Jeez. So, thanks for those who stopped by though and spent time with us on Saturday to do this. This really means a lot to us that you take time to do that. I don't take it for granted at all. I know you got other things to do, and so we really appreciate it when you stop by and hang out with us and share it with your friends and all that good stuff. It helps let people know about our channel and keeps us going. So I'm gonna get some dark brown here and shadow this side of this guy just a little bit more. Again, like I said, I'll see things probably tomorrow that I missed, but anyhow, I like it. I think it turned out pretty cool. What do you think? Yeah. I like it. Okay. Mark's like, I want to go.
It looked really good an hour ago. So,
It looks even better.
It's really, really good 3 stops ago. It's like your encores, curtain calls here.
I know, it is like an encore. It's very, very apt. Yes.
But if you're watching this live, remember tomorrow's Patreon bonus video day. And we'll be back for another one of those. Check out the links below for that.
Yes. I know, I'm too tired to even think what
So
to say.
like, subscribe, check out all the other videos. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care. Be careful out there. And we will see you next time. Thanks, guys. Bye.